Can you believe it's been 40 years since this fun-filled show first premiered? What happens when ordinary Midwestern American man gets an unexpected surprise visit from his distant cousin from Eastern Mediterranean Europe? Well, that's easy. You've got this fun show right here. So get ready in this TV log. I am going to talk about the sitcom that is Perfect Strangers. This is a Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews TV log. Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. I'm the Big D, and this is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews, and I'm back again with another TV log. And let me tell you, this is going to be on the show that's celebrating its 40th anniversary today. It was a show I actually grew up watching. Don't seem to recall watching all of it until just more recently. And I've got to say, watching it has brought back some pretty darn good memories. This show started out big at first and then soon later became part of the block that was TGIF. Yep. So get ready as I bring to you the story of a ordinary Midwestern man named Larry Appleton and his distant cousin from East Mediterranean Europe, Balki Bartokomous, as I bring to you Perfect Strangers. Perfect Strangers was a fun-filled sitcom created by Dale McRaven. It originally premiered on ABC on this day, March 25th, 1986, and was produced by Lorimar along with Miller Boyett Television Productions. So, Perfect Strangers is the show I'm going to talk about. Well, this is going to be a real fun one to talk about, and I've got to say it was an excellent big success in a way when it first started. Anyway, yes, you heard me correctly. Today marks the 40th anniversary of when this show premiered back in 1986 on this day, March 25th. Now, the series chronicles the relationship of Larry Appleton and his distant cousin, Balki Bartokomous. Larry, who is a Wisconsinite from a large family who has just moved well, from Wisconsin into his first apartment in Chicago, the Windy City itself, and is savoring his first taste of privacy when Balki, a distant cousin from a Mediterranean island named Mypos, arrives intending to move in with him. Balki, who was a shepherd in Mypos, interprets what little he knows about the U.S. by relying on his own, often out of context, recollections of American pop culture. For example, America, land of my dreams and home of the Whopper. See what I mean? I'm doing as good as a impersonation of him because doing him's pretty simple. And Balki's signature is his dance of joy, a cross between the do-si-do and the hokey pokey that he performs with Larry to celebrate good fortune. Well, after initially gently rebuffing his cousin's request to stay at his apartment, aspiring photographer Larry decides to take Balki under his wing and teach him about American life. As time goes on, the disparities between the two create many misadventures and growth opportunities. Initially working at a discount store and living in a small apartment, which went on for the first 2 seasons. They eventually developed rising careers working for a respectable newspaper and moved into larger residences, which they moved to a different apartment in the third season. And they date two best friend flight attendants named Jennifer and Marianne. And they expand their lifestyle through their various experiences, all while learning to balance Balki's wide eyed enthusiasm and Myposian ways with Larry's real world ambitions and American pragmatism. Neurotic Larry is frequently as inept as Balki, if not more so, and often gets the pair into situations that only Balki can set right. Now, major influences on the show well, include buddy sitcoms, most notably Laverne, Shirley, and Mork and Mindy. Both of them were actually recently done by the two people who produced the show, Miller Boyette. Yes. This being the second show they had done after Valerie, aka the Hogan family, from which I was supposed to do a TV log this not so long ago, but now of course it's been postponed to till further notice. So details to follow when I can find a new date, but I think I've got it ready though. What for it though? Okay, and of course that premiered earlier that same month, that same year. Anyway, each week the Larry and Balki get into all sorts of predicaments. Really something. Now, the series was the brainchild of Dale McRaven, who was the co-creator of Mork and Mindy and Miller and Boyette. According to Miller, he claimed that the series' inspiration came in the wake of the '84 Summer Olympics in LA, when America experienced a wave of renewed patriotic sentiment. And their idea for a comedy about an immigrant in America was initially rejected by all three major commercial television networks operating in the US at the time. However, in December of 1984, well, one of the stars of the show, which I'm going to go ahead and give you the two main stars of the show, playing Balki is Bronson Pinchot, who garnered notice for his role in Beverly Hills Cop as Sergey back in '84. Of course, you may remember him. Well, when Miller and Company pitched Pinchot as the star of their immigrant show, ABC signed on to the project, originally titled The Greenhorn. By this time, Pinchot was unavailable as he had taken the role of a gay attorney in the NBC series Sarah alongside star Gina Davis. But however, that show failed to find an audience and was canceled in 1985. With Pinchot now available, Miller and Boyette developed the show in earnest. By November, it was retitled Perfect Strangers, and comedian Louis Anderson was cast as the immigrant's American cousin. A pilot episode was put into production, but in the end, Anderson was not considered right for the role. Well, development was placed into overdrive when ABC president Brandon Stoddard offered the producers a prime tryout slot for the spring of '86. Between the hit shows Who's the Boss and Moonlighting on Tuesday nights. After running through several actors for the part of Balki's cousin, Larry, the producers chose Mark Lynn Baker, which this would be the show he would be mostly recognized for. Now, of course, he would do some other shows after this, including one of the WB's last shows, Twins, and also he appeared on in an episode of PBS's Ghostwriter, as well as the reboot of The Electric Company. Now, more recently, Baker has been seen on, well, on some episodes of the Chicago franchise on NBC. He was recently on Chicago Med. So, yeah. He would also make an appearance on the Hogan Family as well as Miller Boyette's other hit for ABC, Full House. He would also appear in some other ABC shows by appearing on in an episode or two, like Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Spin City, and of course the series spinoff, which I'll get to in a little bit, as long as I can keep it in mind, you know. Anyway, in the first season, the show started out as only a mere 6 episodes since it was a mid-season replacement. The series commences with Larry living alone in an apartment in Chicago. In the pilot episode, Balki unexpectedly appears at Larry's door claiming to be his distant cousin. Well, Balki soon joins Larry as a clerk at the Ritz discount store. Located on the ground level of their apartment building, their boss is Donald Twinkassetti, or Twinkie, played by Ernie Sabella. Most of you would know him best as the voice of Pumbaa of the Lion King fame, the original Lion King fame, that is, and scrupulous miser who is also their landlord. Anyway, he's incessant berating of his two employees, calling Balki Turnip and Larry Yo-Yo, and is occasionally alleviated by his wife Edwina, played by Belita Moreno, who, as a matter of fact, who later went on to play another character who I'll get to in a moment. She later went on to play Benia Lopez on a later ABC series, and that was George Lopez. Anyway, yep. So, anyway, it was an instant hit in the spring of '86, with five of its six episodes landing in the weekly Nielsen Top 10 highest rated programs. For its second season, later in the fall of that year, the ABC sent the show to Wednesday nights as a lead into a new show that ABC would premiere in the fall of that year, Have the Class, which I'll talk about that later on. Well, the Larry's platonic friend Susan Campbell, who was actually seen in the first season, played by Lise Cutter, was phased out. And so Larry began dating Jennifer Lyons, played by Melanie Wilson, and Balki began dating Marianne Spencer, played by Rebecca Arthur, after meeting them through a local gym. In later episodes, it is revealed that both women are flight attendants who live in Larry and Balki's building. During the third and fourth seasons, the start of season 3 in late '87 found Larry and Balki in a new, larger apartment where Balki had his own room instead of sleeping on a fold-out sofa. Yep. External shots depict a new apartment building, but the characters never referred to the move, and Jennifer and Marianne were still co-tenants in the new surroundings. Larry acquires a reporter job working out of the basement of the Chicago Chronicle, a fictional metropolitan newspaper, and helps Balki get a job in the Chronicle's mailroom. They are overseen by demanding city editor Harry Burns, played by Eugene Roche, or Roche. But however, he was phased out of the show by the end of the third season, and then the paper's publisher, Mr. Wainwright, played by F.J. O'Neill, was introduced later on in the season and takes over as Larry's boss after Roche leaves the show. Mr. Wainwright appears through season 7, and Balki's immediate supervisor is mailroom head Sam Gorpley, played by Sam Anderson, who had portrayed a bank clerk in one of the season 1 episodes, which was Check This, in which Balki opens his first bank account. Well, Gorpley is rude and a greedy boss to Balki and does everything he can to fire him. He never warms to Balki. He sometimes calls him the me Pyatt and and then insults him regularly and wants to fire him. Leah Markham, this is the character I was telling you about, the other character that, well, Belia Marino took over for playing in the series. Well, she's the Chronicle's thin skinned, multiphobic, and very successful advice columnist. They even had Harriet Winslow working as an elevator operator during the season. Her husband Carl appeared in a fourth season episode called Crime Busters. Anyway, which I'll begin to a little bit about those two because I'm sure you know those names anyway. Anyway, not halfway, midway through the third season, ABC sent to the Friday night lineup where it was shown before Full House, which had debuted during that season, to start the TGIF block and remain as an anchor of Friday night programming until it was unsuccessfully moved to Saturday nights in February of '92. Well, Harriet's character was given her own spin-off series, which I shall tell you at one season 5 starting in 1989. And that's when Harriet appeared with her husband Carl, played by Reginald VelJohnson, and others in a spin-off to this, Family Matters, which would also join Perfect Strangers in the TGIF lineup. And Family Matters eventually ran longer than its predecessor, and Harriet was never seen again on Perfect Strangers, although an early Family Matters episode explained that she had been fired as the elevator operator only to be rehired as chief of security at the Chronicle. Shortly after the sixth season opened, the producers attempted to add child care to the show. They had Tess Holland, as played by Allison Porter, who had starred in on ABC's short-lived Chicken Soup the previous fall, and of course recently played Little Pumpkin in Pee-wee's Playhouse, and this was still just before she even played Curly Sue, and then later on went on to become a champion on NBC's hit reality show The Voice. Was introduced, but well, she only appeared in the season's second episode called New Kid on the Block. And well, it just, well, kind of well, it was just an experiment of adding a child to the cast, which was partially influenced by the network as well, since the TGIF line wished to incorporate the child and preteen demographic into its audience. Well, apparently, while the content of Perfect Strangers could often appeal to the family as a whole, it had never had children in the regular cast. And a similar infusion happened a few months later on sister show Going Places, which I can't seem to recall that one, which had also started with a more adult tone. While Larry and Jennifer's romance blossomed, Balki and Marianne's relationship moved more slowly, but the pair would get very close, but then back off after fleeting moments of passion, then drift back into affection. Many viewers' predictions came true near the beginning of season 6 when Larry proposed to Jennifer after feeling competition from her old flame who was trying to woo her back. Jennifer accepted, and the season finale they set a wedding date. As the sixth season closed, from in 1991, it was clear that despite Larry's impending marriage, his and Balki's relationship would somehow remain a focal point of the show. In the fall of 91, the show was back for its next to last season, which began September of 91. Larry and Jennifer's marriage meant that the series would move in a different direction. Larry and Jennifer moved into a large Victorian house, then discovered that they cannot afford the rent without additional roommates. So Balki and Mary Ann were the ones. At mid-season, Balki and Larry received a promotion at the Chronicle, drawing weekly editors of the comic strip based on Balki's stuffed sheep, Dimitri. Gorpley and Lydia make occasional appearances throughout the season, but are gradually phased out as they have little relevance to Larry and Balki's new career paths when they moved up from the basement to the top floor. With Larry and Jennifer happily married, the series turns toward Balki and Mary Ann's relationship. In that season's last several episodes, Mary Ann stops seeing Balki and moves out of the house. In the season finale in April of 92, the two resolve their differences and suddenly marry. The episode and season conclude with the couple on their way to an extended honeymoon in Mykonos, and with Jennifer telling Larry that they are expecting. Well, the first season of the eighth and final season did pick up several months after the end of season 7, by which time Jennifer is visibly pregnant. Balki and Marianne returned from their honeymoon, revealing that Marianne was also well into a pregnancy. For the eighth season, which also had only a mere 6 episodes, it actually aired on Saturday nights the following year in 1993, though those episodes were produced in 92, but they didn't get shown until the summer of the following year. And soon the series shifted its full attention to the home life of the characters. And the series ended with a two-part series finale called Up, Up, and Away, with each heralding the birth of a baby. First, Robespierre, son of Balki and Marianne, and then Tucker, son of Larry and Jennifer. The last scene segues in and out of a musical montage of memorable scenes from the series to the tune of Nat King Cole's Unforgettable. The closing credits show the cast bowing before the studio audience with Mark Linn-Baker saying, "Thank you all for being with us. Good night." Though it was not shown in the episode, co-stars Pinchot and Linn-Baker then did the Dance of Joy for the studio audience one last time, and that's that. After 8 seasons and an overall total of 150 episodes produced and aired, the Perfect Strangers came to a close on August 6th of 1993. Even after that, from August 1989 to July of 1990, reruns of the first 4 seasons aired on ABC's daytime program block. And then soon after that, it later got Warner, of course, you know them. They distributed the series for broadcast television syndication that from September of 1990 to September 97. But after that, the USA never picked up for just 1 year, and then the WB 100 Plus carried it for a year and a half. Well, almost a year and a half. It also later got shown on Nick at Night at times, same with TV Land, and Ion Television as well. Various episodes were shown on the now defunct AOL Into TV as well. The series also got shown outside the US in various countries. Anyway, in September of 2017, the series was available on Hulu with a lot of the other TGIF series, but soon it left Hulu in 2021. The show has not been seen on TV in ages. However, just more recently, the series is currently now available to watch on streaming services. Now, more recently, it was available on the now defunct Freevee through Prime Video, but it's not there anymore. However, you can see the series on Tubi and Pluto TV. So you'll be able to have a good chance to catch that show. Now, of course, one of its seasons was actually featured as a bonus on the first season of Night Court in February 2005. In February 2008, the first two seasons were released to carry on DVD. Although it had some, though it still did well and what have you, but they just couldn't put out anymore because of rather high music licensing costs. However, almost a decade later, the Warner Archive managed to get the rest of the series, had announced that, and in April 2018, we got seasons 3, 4, 5, and 6 released from April to December of 2018. And then May of 2019, the 7th and 8th seasons together would be released. So anyway, Perfect Strangers is such a great show. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention there is a pretty good song here. It's its theme song, "Nothing's Gonna Stop Me Now," performed by David Pomeranz. Well, I think did a pretty good job on this. And what can I say? He actually did the theme song for an underrated film that I have encountered before, but I've never seen before. It's Zapped, which was a teen sex comedy that starred Scott Baio and Willie Ames. Before those two would team together for Charles in Charge in 1984. But anyway, from what I've seen of Perfect Strangers, after watching all 150 big episodes, I think this is just one of the greats. I absolutely do love this show, and after watching all of it, it brought back so many good memories. Now, of course, some of the seasons can be found. If you want to find on physical media, I think Amazon's your best chance. I think some of the seasons, depending on who's got them at a good price, if they're at a good price, then go for it. But if you can't get them for a good price, then stream on the series on Tubi or Pluto TV, whichever one you want to get. Now, I'll go ahead and give you a look at our main characters along with their love interest. So here here's the picture from left to right. On the top, we have Marianne, and then there's Jennifer. On the bottom, on the left, Balki, and the right is Larry. So now you know about Perfect Strangers, a great show with great characters. I think I would definitely recommend you watch this show. You will love it. It is so good and what have you. And I think you'll get a good laugh from it too. As Balki would say, "Don't be ridiculous." Anyway, you'll definitely get a good laugh or two, or even more from this, especially when Larry gets upset with Balki at times. It almost has a more crazier feel to it, like Sanford inside as well. So anyway, that's it. That's the end of this TV log. What did you think of Perfect Strangers? Did you ever see this show when you were growing up? Or did you catch it in reruns? Tell me in the comments section below if so. If you like this video, consider clicking the like button, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, and you know the rest. And we'll have another video coming up for you soon. I'm not sure what it's going to be. Details to follow when it comes around, okay? So if you like this, check out some of these other vids that I've done for these other TV shows. In the upper left-hand corner, check out the TV log for a show I had just now talked about, which also kind of has a little similar premise to it, but except it involves a father and a son in Sanford and Son. Or go to the upper right-hand corner. You can check out my TV log on a show from the actual creator of the series, Mork and Mindy. Or if you'd like, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my TV log on one of the first shows to come to the TGIF block along with Perfect Strangers in Full House. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.